I want to give y'all a fair warning. If you are a person that is easily offended, this may not be the video for you, because I'm going to tell you a story, then I'm going to give you the twists and turns, and then I'm going to give you my opinion of what I think should have happened. But we can't live life on shoulda, coulda, and wouldas when things have happened. So follow me with this story very closely. And if I'm talking soft, that's because I don't want to wake my cat up, because she'll get up and start meowing. So I may have to pause this and then continue recording. A mother finds herself at home with her two sons. One is 6 and one is 17. There had been some known tension between the mother, father, and the eldest son, who's 17, but the father is not in the home yet when the incident occurs. It's Valentine's Day, mind you, 2020. The son, the eldest son, decides to unalive his 6-year-old brother and his mother. When his father arrives home, he tries to unalive him, but the father escapes. 17-year-old son runs off, I think takes a car, but he's definitely caught shoplifting. It's likely that he was shoplifting to buy things to go into hiding after unaliving his mother and 6-year-old little brother. When taken into custody, he acts incoherent. He starts to mumble as if he may have some mental issues. At some point, people close to the family come out and say that there were signs of this for a while. At least that's what the public defender is saying, that there were signs that things were bothering and troubling the 17-year-old for a while. I would say April 21st, 2020. Weeks after he had to bury his wife and 6-year-old son. Either he was racked with guilt, either he felt despair, or a combination of both. The father, not able to live with the loss of his wife and 6-year-old son, is alone and unalives himself. After surviving nearly being unalived by the 17-year-old. (2023) Because he committed the crime at the age of 17. He was 20 by then, but he was still a minor when he committed the crimes. He was sentenced to life, I think, plus 40, but he's eligible for parole in 20 years. That means if he was 20 at the time, he'll be out by the time he's 40. Now let's get into one reason that they say he may have done it. Here comes the article. Yep, you're reading right. I can't substantiate this yet, but there are reports that he grew up in a home where he overheard his parents constantly berate and say negative things about black people. And there is a rumor that his father may have threatened him with a weapon of some kind and said, there are 2 things you had better not do. Now remember, this man unalived himself. He is not here to defend himself. You can never date a black girl or be gay. So I think he unalived them with the assumption that he's going to run off with his black girlfriend, but it's hard to find any information, okay, as to what she thought of it or if she even exists. According to this article, she does. Here's what I'm going to say. I love diversity. I love getting to know different cultures. I don't agree with every culture. I don't agree with aspects of what we allow in foundational Black American culture, but this isn't what this is about. This is a classic example how if it was true that his parents were saying disparaging things about black people, why you have to be careful how you raise your children. Because if this were true and they were really saying these things, again, not here to defend themselves. You were raising your son in a bubble in your home and he was going to high school to the reality of different races of people. Clearly they only had a problem with black and gay people according to some accounts. But see, the thing about it is your child is a product of that generation, and you had been sending him probably K through 12 all of his life, surrounded by the very people that you claim to not like. If this is true, again, that's it. If this is true, what's coming out of your mouth as that child went to school probably 8 hours a day was likely not that young man's reality. And yet you were pressing on him at 17 when he's old enough to know better to feel something he did not personally feel. If this is true. See, I have to give people the benefit of the doubt, because when you've been unalived or you have unalived yourself, you're not here to defend yourself. If we remove the racial component and this boy really was showing mental illness for years, as the public defender may have uncovered, you can't bippity boppity boo and make that go away because you see it as weakness. Because all that can do is escalate, and it's going to make things worse. Here's the harsh truth about how I feel about this, since I gave you as much as I could give you. And this is going to be an opinion that, to me, I feel is going to offend a lot of you. He claimed that he had requested to be emancipated. But at 17 years old, he's like, I just wanted to run away. Why didn't you run away? Because some people in that situation who don't want to live that would just get up and leave. How do we know that he didn't start to date this woman to challenge this girl who's now a woman, to challenge his racist parents? And this is why we don't hear anything from her, because she could feel a certain amount of empathy and guilt despite the fact that she's not the preferred race of person for their son. If this is true, because there was some Valentine's Day card with the dad saying that he loved him and was proud to have him as a son. However, like it or not, when you live under somebody else's roof, you've got to play by their rules, even when you don't like it, even when you find their views antiquated. because they're paying the bills. And under a roof where they're paying the bills, they can say and do whatever they want within the law. It's not against the law to dislike people because they're black and gay. I know this is going to make people mad. I don't particularly sit around and think about people not liking me because I'm black. I'm merely giving them the benefit of the doubt because they're 6 feet under and cannot defend themselves. And he ambushed all three of them, and to boot took the life of a 6-year-old boy who was probably in his prime and did not understand race in the way that his older brother would. And when you go research this, there was some extreme jealousy with this, a possible jealousy that of this 6-year-old child in comparison to the 17-year-old. There's levels to this story. If you want to date who you want when you're an adult, if you want to do what you want to do, if you want to even act grown, either wait till you're 18, then date who you want, or pack your stuff when you were 17 and go take your chances on the streets. People will say, well, that's a hard position for him to be in, and they should have accepted his girlfriend. They didn't have to accept anything because they were paying bills in their own house. And two wrongs don't make a right. Just because they didn't like that you were dating a person of a certain race, that didn't give you a right to unalive them. And how do you explain the 6-year-old? Don't get me wrong, at 6, you can understand race. But because that child is 6, I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt that he really didn't understand half of what was going on. Most 6-year-olds just want to play with their toys, are still learning to read certain type of books, riding bicycles, riding skateboards. There's difference of mentality between a 6-year-old and a 17-year-old. But the common theme when I look this up is that he lived in a household where he was constantly berated with negative stuff about certain types of people. We can talk about sticks and stones, but at the end of the day, it's not unlawful to tell your kid, I prefer you not to date this, this, and this, or be this, this, and this. It is unlawful to go and unalive your family, though. If it were me, because these kids don't think about these things these days, and trust me, I didn't grow up in a house with this type of hate, but I can say I grew up in a house where I had to walk on eggshells. And I'm not talking about my father, because I lived with both single parents. The solution in a case like this, if you're living in a house right now where your parents don't like the person of the race that you're dating, and I'm not talking about just white people either, okay? Listen to what I'm saying, because we know white families aren't the only ones that do this, but we gotta push the narrative that they're the only ones that do. You were 17 years old at the time, sir. Why would you want emancipation when you could have just packed up and left? Because it's easy to stay under someone else's roof until you get grown, let's be real. Or you could have waited till you were 18, gone off and got a job or went to college, got your own place, and then did what you wanted to do. At 17, excuse the cough, you were this close. Now at 20, you're about to serve a minimum 20-year prison sentence. And again, I know some of my listeners are going to take offense to that. You have to obey the rules of people living up under your roof even when you don't like it. The only alternatives were wait till you get grown, or since you're 17 and want to act grown, get a job, go ahead, move out. The unalivings, that's a no-no. Tell me what y'all think, because in the beginning I didn't tell you about the girlfriend or the mental illness and people turning a blind eye to things. Does his parents behind the scenes or perceived hatred? Because again, we don't know, because these people were unalived and they're not here to defend for themselves. Was that an excuse for him to have done what he had done? All right, thank y'all for listening. Have a good one.